The wind does not rest. It snakes through the arrow slits like a cold whisper from a distant god, brushing over the boy's hollow cheeks as he listens, not for sound, but its absence. That terrible stillness. That breath between fates. Outside the walls, death waits without hurry. Inside, life lingers without promise. The torch sputters behind him, casting long, uncertain shadows across the frost-kissed stone. He's small for his age, smaller still since the meat ran out. Beneath the folds of his thin blanket, his ribs rise and fall like a tide growing weaker. He places his palm against the stone wall. It is colder now than it was the day before. Or perhaps he is simply closer to freezing. A distant scream once marked the turning of battles. Now it marks madness. Hunger does not shout. It groans. It whispers in dreams. It tightens around the belly like a belt made of ash. The great hall, that once echoed with the deep laughter of men, the clatter of trenchers, the howl of hounds, lies silent as a tomb. Only the smell remains. Not of roast goose or spiced mead, but of mildew, unwashed bodies, and the faint sour scent of fear. The tapestries weep from the damp, threads unraveling like the names of the ancestors they once honored. The steward opens the barrel with trembling hands. Nothing left but a crust of salt stuck to the bottom. He scrapes it with a spoon. A child watches him from the doorway. The steward does not offer her any. Salt is not for mercy. Salt is for memory. And then there is the egg. Only one. Pale as bone, guarded like a sacred thing. No one knows who found it, or how it survived. It sits in the middle of the Lord's table, unbroken. Some call it a sign. Others call it bait for betrayal. The hunger is making prophets out of fools. Above it all, the Lord stares through the slit in the tower wall, his breath misting in the frozen air. His shoulders sag beneath the weight of a cloak too heavy with regrets. Once, he rode through these woods with a falcon on his wrist and a boar spear in hand. He ruled with laughter and wine. Now, he watches the frost creep closer each morning and wonders who will die before nightfall. A servant approaches him with a ledger, the latest tally of food, of mouths, of those too weak to rise. The Lord does not look. He does not need to. He hears it in the silence. In the chapel below, prayers have turned to bargains. The priest speaks with cracked lips and bleeding gums, offering salvation for a crust, absolution for a scrap of cloth to bind his wounds. No coins change hands, only shreds of hope. At the edge of the hearth, a mother cradles her daughter's shawl. Her child has not returned from the well. The well is within the walls, yet the mother clutches the wool as if it were a body. Her lullaby is a hum without tune. Her eyes do not blink. The hearth has not been lit in days, but she rocks as if fire might return if she believes hard enough.
In the lower chambers, rats no longer scurry. They have learned. And the people have learned, too, to praise their presence, to trap them without shame, to divide a carcass between 6 bowls and call it stew. Once, such meat would have been flung into the moat. Now, it is blessed. A knight with a missing finger wraps his hand in cloth soaked in wine. He offers no explanation. Infection runs faster than rumor. Another man coughs blood into his sleeve, then wipes it on the curtain. No one speaks of plague. The word has weight, and they are already carrying too much. In the scriptorium, where once monks copied gospels, there are only 3 left. Their fingers ink-stained, their faces gaunt, their words trembling on parchment too brittle for truth. One writes of miracles that never came. One copies old tax records as if they matter. The third, the youngest, draws the face of a woman he cannot name. Perhaps she was someone he saw through the window once, before it all began. Or perhaps she is deaf, and this is his offering. A boy and his sister play with stones near the stables. They pretend the stones are bread. He offers her the larger one. She smiles, and for a moment, just one, the siege is forgotten. Not lifted. Not one. just forgotten. Like a dream you wake from too soon. And then a bell rings. Not the bell of warning. Not the bell of battle. It is the chapel bell, pulled by a hand that no longer feels the rope. It tolls once. Then again. A slow, uncertain sound, as if time itself is slipping loose. People gather in the courtyard, not because they are called, but because movement is all that's left to prove they're alive. The priest steps forward, cloak patched with every color but pride. He raises his arms and says only this, "We are not forsaken." Not yet. And in that moment, someone lights a torch. It's nothing, just a flicker. But for the first time in days, smoke rises above the castle. It curls skyward, thin and trembling, as if seeking the memory of stars. The wind carries it across the battlements, over the silent fields, toward the enemy tents. It does not speak, but it says enough. Inside the castle, the boy at the wall closes his eyes. His hand, still pressed to the stone, feels warmth that is not there. Not yet. But perhaps tomorrow. End chapter. The fire has begun, but not the kind that warms. In the next chapter, that fire will spread through desperation and choice. It will test who remains, and who is willing to betray everything to survive.